because, you know, I mean, you're touching into it there with what you're speaking of this morning, that what you're longing for is yourself. It's for a really deep, intimate friendship with your own heart, right? And in that deep, intimate friendship with your own heart, then you create a reflection of that wholeness within you, right? When we don't have that really full, deep knowing of ourselves, our longing for friendship and connection tends to then be a reflection of what we feel is missing.
Mm.
And then, as you notice, this really disappointing. Like, there can be beautiful moments, but in the deep sense of fulfilling what is longed for, it doesn't. Because that longing being fulfilled is only when we know the truth of our own heart, when we are in the remembering of our divine nature, and we feel that fullness in the knowing of ourself. And of course, then the reflection is that we create companionships out of that fullness. And but we're not needing anything from that. So we don't have expectations, and then we're not disappointed, because the fullness is in the knowing of the true nature. So there's such a fullness and a wholeness in the knowing of your own heart. So it's beautiful that you're recognizing that this morning. And that really this whole unfolding is about opening into the true heart, opening into ourself, opening into the places where we don't know ourselves, where we don't have an intimacy, where we have fears and expectations, and we're looking for fulfillment in the external. But when we really come to know all of ourselves, we really open to face and meet all of what we are in presence, in love, we discover that that fullness is what we are, and it's inside, it's in the presence. Yeah.
Mm.
And of course, it takes many shapes and flows and situations and circumstances and relationships where we're looking externally and receiving that reflection of our own sense of something lacking, that keeps actually really pointing us inside. So our disappointment is grace that says, oh, nothing outside will bring the fullness of being in presence with the being, with the fullness of your own heart, right?
Mm.
But so often, our protection is actually acts as a protection from ourselves, from the love that we are. We're longing for that intimacy and love, connection. But until we find that within, then that idea that something is missing and needs to be fulfilled externally persists until we meet. We have to meet the sense of the being and the beauty and the vast absolute that we are, but we also have to meet the parts of ourself that we push away. We have to meet all of ourselves. So we meet in the being, we meet the presence and the openness, the vastness of the absolute. But then every day, life is offering us, when any challenge or anything arises, it's an opportunity to meet ourselves in whatever is disturbed by life, right? It's this opportunity to meet the feelings and not project outwards, and meet what is it in ourself that is stirred, because it's really stirred because it just wants to come into oneness, right? So there's this beautiful opening to our own nature through resting in the being and opening to the vast, open, expanded immaculateness of our own essence nature. But we also have to meet the parts of ourselves that feel like they can be disturbed, because those are the parts that will keep us from really resting in what we're recognizing in the absolute. Right? So we have to open in every direction, so wide, so open. And of course, that openness is the true nature.